Search and rescue operations are underway in the American city of Baltimore after the shocking collapse of one of the city's main bridges. At least 6 people still remain unaccounted for after a shipping container collided with the bridge. So let's bring in our Washington correspondent Annalise Nielsen live now from Baltimore. There she is. Annalise, have authorities said what caused the collision just yet?
Look, authorities say that they don't think there's any kind of nefarious reason that this ship collided with this bridge. But what we have seen is a tragedy of many levels. What we've seen today from the official representatives is that 8 people have fallen from the bridge, 2 people were rescued, 6 people remain missing among those. Of those 2 that were rescued, there was one that's apparently walked away with no injuries, while another is receiving treatment for serious injuries, and the entire port of Baltimore is closed to ships. This is an extraordinary crash. What we've seen is the shipping container run into the bridge around 1:30 this morning. This bridge was built in 1977, and so far what we've seen from authorities is that there's no indication that there was any kind of issue with the bridge construction. What they've said is that there were a number of people on the bridge doing maintenance, but that was pothole level maintenance, nothing to go to the structure of this. It was simply the sheer force of this ship hitting the bridge. At the same time, they think that the power went out on the boat, which is why it lost control of the direction it was steering. And what they've said is that there was enough time for a mayday call to go out to stop any more cars driving on the bridge as this disaster happened. And so what we've seen from authorities today is the very clear indication that they don't think there was any kind of terrorist link to what's happened.
The preliminary investigation points to an accident. We haven't seen any credible evidence of a terrorist attack. Our administration is working closely with leaders from all levels of government and society to respond to this crisis, and not but just by addressing the immediate aftermath.
Pete, as we mentioned before, it did seem that the emergency operations kicked in quite quickly, even though this happened in the early hours of the morning, and that's why they're expecting there won't be any cars that were on the bridge, but authorities have still said they cannot confirm whether there were any individuals driving cars at the time this accident happened.
The thing that we do know is that many of the vehicles were stopped before they got onto the bridge, which saved lives in a very, very heroic way.
Pete, as we said before, this is an active search and rescue still. There is still the hope that they may be able to find further survivors, and still they're unable to say exactly how many people may have been impacted beyond that initial estimate we shared before. President Joe Biden's weighed in, calling this a terrible tragedy.
Our prayers are with everyone involved in this terrible accident and all the families, especially those waiting for the news of their loved one right now. I know every minute in that circumstance feels like a lifetime. You just don't know. It's just terrible.
Pete, this is also a major bridge in this region. It is blocking access to the port at the moment, the 9th largest port in the United States for supplies coming in and out. And this is also a major thoroughfare to get between Washington, D.C. and New York. The Biden administration has vowed that the federal government will put up the money to rebuild it.
It's my intention that federal government will pay for the entire cost of reconstructing that bridge, and I expect the Congress to support my effort.
Pete, there are investigators on scene from just about every agency you can think of, from the National Transport Safety Bureau to the FBI, to ensure every bit of evidence is gathered, but they've said that they're still being hampered in that effort, given that this is still an active search and rescue.
All right, Annalise Nielsen live from Baltimore. We'll talk to you in another half an hour.